thing happened that I like it.
JFK to LAX, my mics get checked. Coast to coast, I rock it most times, no sweat. Be the you, get what we do, and never forget. Now's the time, fall out of line and take your first step. Feet, five, four, fun. I smell hip hop and I want some. And I spy with my little eye. Two turntables, spin a record so fly. Fly like an eagle or soar like a pigeon. Lay it all.
Hello, hello, hello. So, welcome to the Cinematographer's Corner. So, this is a new series, and we are going to be diving into a lot of things that are cinematic. I'm John from JJS Consulting Tech, and we have a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful other person. His name is, go ahead, Kev.
My name is Kevin Natrum, and I am I own a company called Kevin Natrum Media. So yes.
All right. Yeah, so we're gonna be, going back and forth, talking things that are cinematography. It's kind of like a lounge type of vibe, and we're just gonna be, chopping it up and seeing like who we are and like where we came from and what got us into cinematography. So let's ask that first question. Yo, Kev, who are you? Like why should people be interested in you? Who are you?
Kind of a question. I don't know if we want to get into all the aspects of my life, or you want to narrow it down a little bit?
Yeah. Let's narrow it down.
Well, all right. So, like I said before, my name is Kevin. A lot of my friends call me Kev. So you guys can call me Kev. And if you're gonna comment in the live below, you could refer to me as Kev. So back to the question. Let's not stray. Back to the question. Who am I? So, I am first a photographer. My passion is really in photography, but then I realized that videography is a lot of stills and movement. So as a result, I got interested in videography also. So that made me want to do videography. So yes, you could say I am a photographer first, but videographer second.
Okay. I mean, that works. All right. So who am I? I'm just a regular guy. I'm just a Joe Smo. Like if I walk past you down the street, you wouldn't even pay me no mind. I'm just that regular. But I got a little background in cinematography. So short story, I'm an IT guy, and throughout all my IT career, I've had maybe it was 10 years in the IT field. And throughout my entire career, I've been dealing with nothing but creatives. Mind you, there are one or two clients that I've been dealing with, like a doctor's office or Uber, because I was an IT and / admin at Uber. Didn't like it that much, but that's besides the point. But I really was, going and dealing with a lot of creatives. That's like architects, designers, people in film. Like one of my specialties was building up movie trailer houses to pass a lot of audits. So I got a lot of hands-on training in editing, post-production editing, as well as sound, helping to build out a sound room. So I translated that into cinematography, like picking up a camera and shooting different venues for my wife and etc. And I started to love it. Then I realized there was a whole lot into that, and I'm like, oh man, I need to learn a lot before I try to, go waist deep into this thing, because cinematography is expensive, bro.
That's another topic for a whole nother day.
It's man, It's like, bro, like when I first started to get into it, I mean, this goes into like the next thing, the next question: what got you into cinematography? So, I started first taking pictures, and I was terrible at it, and because my wife was dragging me, and she was getting into different venues, and she was like, "You're gonna be my photographer," and I was like, "I don't know how to do anything." She was like, "Just put it to your face and take pictures." I'm like, "All right, I'm gonna try."
Oh, that's how it works.
That's how it works. So I hated it. So I got into doing video, and I was like, you know what? I kind of like this thing. So then I got more into the church media team, and man, that opened up my eyes to a lot of things. It opened up my eyes to the sound aspect, to the lighting aspect, to the video aspect, and to the streaming aspect. And the churches that I went to, they were happy with mediocrity. So I was like, this can't be, because I'm coming from like corporate America, and these guys are like spending hundreds of thousands of dollars, and they're seeing the benefit of putting their all in it. So I'm like, all right, if I'm going into this thing, I think I'm gonna go all into it, and that's kind of how I started. How did you start?
To be honest, I started on a point and shoot camera. I got the camera and I just took pictures of people, and I began posting them on Facebook. You know, that was the trend back in the days. You know, everybody pick a camera and post a few pictures on Facebook, or, you know, I don't even think Instagram was a thing then. So I used Facebook, and then people started liking my images. And then I asked one person, do you like it enough to pay for it?
Oh wow!
And they said, and I said, you know what? Maybe I could use this as a way to make some money, because I'm taking all these pictures for people and they're posting it for free and loving it, and getting comments. And, you know, back in the days, getting comments and likes was a big, I mean, it's still a big thing now, but then it was like major. If you had like 50 likes, it was like a big thing. You didn't even need 1 million back then, you know? So, with that said, that got me into it. And then I started shooting off portraits, which I like, but my passion is more also people who are in love. My passion is passion, you know, get that? Yeah, so I shoot. I like shooting people who are expressive. You know, I don't just like taking a camera and just taking a random picture. I usually like it to have like some sort of meaning, or something that they can look back and recognize that, hey, yo, this picture has somewhat of a meaning to me. This is where my passion comes from. So this is why I guess I'm more into like engagement, wedding, portraiture, and documentary. I love doing these types of photography. Yeah.
Okay. All right. So, since we on photography, I don't do any photography whatsoever. I just never got into it. And the funny thing is, when people see that I do videography and cinematography, they're like, "Can you take pictures too?" I'm like,
they associate the two to be like the same thing, yeah, but it's totally different, you know.
right, and yeah, we gonna get into those things, but for this episode, this is just like familiarizing ourselves with like the audience. So let's get into the nitty gritty. Let's get into the nitty gritty. What gear did you start with versus what you have right now?
So gear is one of my favorite topics. It's one of one of those that things that break the bank, but I don't mind breaking the bank on gear sometimes. What I started off with was, believe it or not, it was a point and shoot Olympus camera, and that was one of my favorite cameras. Then I moved over to a Lumix, Panasonic Lumix. It was another point and shoot, but it looked a little more fancy. It almost looked like a DSLR, but it wasn't. It was one of those cameras that had the lens that it wasn't interchangeable, but I loved this camera. And then when I realized that, listen, there's so much you could do with a lens, I said, you know what? I need to get me my first DSLR. And that's when my very, very first DSLR was a Nikon D90.
Come on,
Give
bro.
it up to all my Nikon fans out here. If you know what I'm talking about, the GOAT, the D90 back in the days, I think it had an ISO maxed out at about maybe 1200 or something like that. Or maybe I'm giving it too much, but you know, once you pass 300, it was already grainy. So the struggle was real back then. I listen, I'm not hating on technology or anything, but I always say to the new photographers that, listen, you guys don't know the struggle that we had when we had to have always using flashes and lights. And, you know, now you could take pictures practically in darkness and get a clean image, you know? So big up to everybody who started on a camera like that. And then after that, I moved from that camera to a Nikon D300. So you could see the growth, right? I loved that camera. The ISO performance was just a little bit better. I got more frames per second. The LCD back screen was a lot better. But then it was my first full frame camera. And then I saw the difference, purchasing lens and the 1.8 apertures, the 1.4s. And I'm like, wow, this is what I was missing out on. And then, you know, I began shooting and then I said, you know what? I need another camera. And then I went to the Nikon D3S, the big boy. That camera cost me almost $8,000.
Gosh.
Yeah. And long story short, after about maybe 5 years later, the resale value was like $300. You know, I just put that out there. But I sold it to a very good friend for $250. You know, I gave him a $50 friends discount. But after that, now I went to the Nikon D750, which was one of my favorite wedding cameras. I would say I like shooting weddings with that camera. It was just smaller, it was lighter, and I felt like everything about it was just great in terms of the specs that I wanted. I think it was like about 24 megapixels, which is right about where I like for photos. And I used that camera for about another 3-4 years, and then
is this the are you going to transition into the what you have now?
Yes.
Okay, hold on. We're not going to start there yet. All right.
Okay, so we hold back.
Yeah, we're going to hold back right now. Okay.
Thank you for pausing me because I was about to spill the beans.
Yeah. So I'm a do now. My resume isn't that extensive with the cameras I've owned, so I started with the Canon Rebel T3i. Yes, sir. The Canon Rebel T3i. Actually,
it's a really good camera.
It wasn't my camera. It was actually my wife's camera, and it had the kit lens.
A little borer, I see.
Yeah. So it was like, it was good. It was decent because I used that for mostly to learn video, to learn exposure, to learn composition. It was it was really good to get off the ground and running. And then after that, I went to the Canon M50. Yeah.
It's another really camera, very compact and small.
It was light years ahead of the T3i. Even though it was cheaper than the MSRP was cheaper than the T3i, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah. And I got the kit lens, and then I realized that kit lens was trash, basura. So I got the adapter to get the EF glass, and I got the Sigma 30 millimeters because it's APS-C, so it's going to be like a 50 millimeter, something like that.
Mhm.
I was getting gigs with that, and I was streaming with that, and people's minds were blown. Like the church folk that I was dealing with, they were blown.
Okay.
But I hated it at a certain, like, I had it beginning of COVID, and then in the middle of COVID, I hated it because the colors were completely off. Like this blue right now in the background that I have right there, that would have been purple.
Struggles.
It would have been
I'm
purple.
telling you, struggles.
But I must say that those little cameras, man, I recently sold the T3i. They taught me a lot. They really taught me a lot, and they springboarded me into my next cameras. You can start with your next cameras because that's a big jump.
Okay. So I think a few people might like this. So I'm going to rinse my horn for it. So I kind of moved off from Nikon. And
Finally.
I made, no, you know what? Before I say this, quick short story. So just to let you all know, I packed up all my gear, every single thing. I packed up my lenses, my cameras, my transmitters, my transceivers, anything that had to do with my camera that I know once I got rid of the system, I would not be able to use. I took it, packed it up in a bag, and I kindly drove myself over to Adorama. Big up to Adorama, by the way. But yes, I drove over and I gave all my gear to the guy at the buying booth. And all I said to him was, just give me a receipt. My mind was already made up. Nothing was going to change it. Nothing, okay? I didn't care what they gave me. I just knew whatever they gave me, I was going to use it to purchase my new equipment and add the rest. So he gave me the receipt and I said, excuse me? Put it this way, I gave him 2 cameras, a couple of lenses, and it was just enough to buy 1 camera. And I know I needed 2 cameras and a couple of lenses. I said, wow. But you know something? I was ready to make that change, man. Like I said, I didn't care. So I took the receipt. I said, you know what? I'll take 1 for the team. And I made the switch from Nikon to Sony. Come on to all the Sony people out there. Big up Sony, man. Sony family. If you know you a Sony family, please just put a comment in below saying Sony family. Understand? Now, don't get me wrong. I'm always gonna be loyal a little bit to Nikon because I watch the newer cameras and I'm liking them. But considering Sony works for me and everything about Sony works for me, I'm gonna stick with it. And that's where I made the switch from using the Nikon D750 to the Sony. First I had the R2, then I had the R3, then I removed myself from the R2 and the R3, and I made the quick jump to the Sony A7 IV, which is like my new favorite camera that I currently use. Yep. So there you have it, guys. I currently use for photos my Sony A7 IV. Now, then I got into it and then I began loving Sony so much that I invested in their 2 intro cinema cameras. I think that's how they call it, the FX3. So I picked up 2 of those also, and that's what I use for my videography work. Yeah. Once again, big up to Sony, all the Sony family out there.
I mean, yeah, man. You can clap it up. Clap it up for Sony. Clap it up for Sony. I mean,
There you go.
Sony, I have a love-hate relationship with Sony. Now the thing is, remember, my background is in media as well. And Sony is, now this is probably back in like 2015. Sony still was so good back then. Like the sensors was like second to none. They were great in low light. And man, yeah, Sony was great. Like the camera I recommended to one of the churches that I was helping with their online streaming was the Sony NX5 or something. It's an ENG camera, and that thing still holds up today in 2023. Now, the hate relationship. No. I got to give more props when it comes to Sony.
Talk about
Their autofocus is second to none. I'm sorry.
Thank you very much.
I'm sorry, Canon. Canon was up there. Even the camera I'm using right now, even the webcam I'm using right now is a Canon. Canon had it for a bit, but Sony, they just took it and ran with it, and it's better than anything I've seen. Like, Sony is the mark that you have to reach and pass. It's just reality. Now, what I dislike about Sony, I hate their lenses. I just hate the mount, and they have no cinema glass. Zero.
Yeah, sorry about that.
he just took off your. That's understandable. That's understandable.
I didn't turn off my phone. I just want to apologize. Like, I didn't put it on silent. Yeah.
it's just what it is.
This is the first one. This is the first one. So all the mistakes are gonna happen in this one, okay?
But yeah, that's why. And I already was invested into Canon glass, and I already liked the look of Canon. So that's why I went with a Canon mount, because, believe it or not, bodies of cameras come and go, and they depreciate quickly. I learned that the lenses are like stock. When you invest in good glass, that thing retains value. Like for instance, the Canon 100mm macro lens f2.8, great lens, wonderful lens. Today that lens is, I think, $1,200. 10 years ago, it was $1,200. They hardly drop in value. So I was like, okay, since I'm into EF mount and Canon glass, I'm gonna have to do something that goes to Canon. So my next camera from the M50 was the red Komodo. I know. Now, how do you make a jump from that?
Next league. That's like going straight from high school basketball or straight to the NBA. You know what I'm saying?
So
Yo.
the reason I went with with red is because of their RAW format. Since before I touch red, I messed with the footage, the RAW footage, and I color graded it, and I was able to do stuff like white balance, exposure, all of that in post. After I messed with it, I was completely impressed, and I was like, okay, I'm gonna fill up my B&H wish list with all the red cameras. Now, this was before the Komodo. This was when red was like 50-something thousand, 30-something thousand, and I was like, you know, God, I want to get this camera, and I want to take it to the church, and I want to like bring up the quality of streaming to a whole different level, and like testimonial videos and etc. and stuff like that. That was my motive, and I had not a dollar to my name. And I'm putting red in the wish list. So I'm like, all right, you know, you if you have faith like a mustard seed, man, God is gonna bless. And COVID hit. COVID hit. I lost my job from Uber, being the IT, and I had a whole lot of bills. And that time I still had my company, and the grants just started to come in, and then the Komodo dropped at the same time. So I'm like, all right, cool, I'm gonna get the Komodo, and I got the Komodo, and then, oh man, dude, buying the Komodo was not it. Meaning it was not the finish line. There's so much things that go with a cinema camera. It's just money on top of money on top of. You want to touch on that a little bit before I get into it?
Well, I continue. Go on. I think you could talk best on that.
Okay, so the Komodo. The Komodo is just that brain, the body. Hold on. Let me get it real quick.
Because my setup is a lot simpler. I just my camera in itself, I did rig it out just as somebody would rig out a cinema camera.
Yeah.
So I do have the lens the same way, the external battery, the external mic, the lens hood. It's rigged out the same way. But like I would say, buying Honda parts and buying Ferrari parts is two different parts. I figure you might be better able to explain that part because I didn't feel it as much. And that could be a reason why I went to Sony so far, and I stuck with that just because I feel like there's a little bit of a cheaper route with it. Hey, and by the way, I'm not cheap, okay? But but I just figured, you know what? Let me try it out, that route first. And you never know. Maybe later down in this podcast, I might be saying I just purchased my first Red or my first, Alexa or whatever. How you said, the Venice?
The Sony you got money like that, bro? Them things is.
I'm changing the bank, but nothing. Not to spend on a camera right now, but
Yeah. Because when I got this body right here, man, yeah, this thing it was a beauty. But then you got to get batteries, you got to get this speed booster right here that because the camera comes with a RF mount, and for me to use my old EF glass, I needed to use this speed booster, and this speed booster causes it to be almost like a full frame camera because I have a whole lot of full frame glass. This small little thing here is like $650. This speed booster. And I have a monitor as well. Of course, you got the cage and whatnot. The cage was the cheapest thing because that cage I think came out to everything was like $300, and that's the cheapest. The monitor was like, I think I went with small HD, which was like $1,700. Now, the thing is, COVID made things much more expensive because it was hard to find things. Before,
That's true. That's so true. That is very true because I had a very hard time actually getting my Sony FX3. A really hard time.
Yeah, it was, dude. COVID, like the small HD when I got it. Now I got them before the price hike. Thank God. So the 702 Touch was like I think $1,000 or $1,100. Now the 702 Touch is like $1,800. So it's no joke. And when I fully rigged out the camera, I realized that the sound in these things suck. They're so bad. So bad.
Preamps back.
Because, it's built for video and shooting video well, which it does.
Yeah.
So then I did some more research because, I tend to I like sound quite a bit. I'm not a advanced sound person. I'm not an amateur either. So you can say that I'm more like an intermediate transferring over into professional, but I still have tons and tons to learn about. So I picked up the Mix Pre. Now the Mix Pre 3 was great. It was wonderful. But I should have bought the MixPre 6 because the MixPre 3 only comes with 3 inputs. MixPre 6 comes with 4. So if I wanted to do like podcasts and etc., the MixPre 3 will run out of inputs quickly.
Gotcha.
So when I said, okay, I'm going to buy the MixPre 6, now I got the MixPre 3 MSRP. So that was probably around $600 and something. Now the MixPre 3 went up to $800 and something.
Wait. Say that again?
Yes. So when I got the MixPre 3, it was around $600 and something. And that was with a kit. Now, the MixPre 3 by itself is close to $800.
Did they update anything else besides just the price?
It's just the price. It was just the chips and all that stuff. Like COVID pushed things up crazily. Wow. So I said to myself, all right, I'm going to buy the MixPre 6. But when I went to try to get the MixPre 6, it was out of stock and it was like $900 and something. So I was looking at the MixPre 10 because the MixPre 10 now is like probably like $1,700. But when I got it, it was closer to, 13, 14?
Okay.
So I just went with a 10 because the 6 was completely out of it. It was completely gone. So I was like, let me do this. And then I realized that you have to get a good mic. So I went with the Sennheiser MKH 416. Oh man, that's $1,000. So you see, it's racking up quickly. And then I realized, but this is just sound.
Where's my calculator? Hold on, let me let me start putting in numbers here.
And this is just sound. Now, and then I got better cables and etc., like better XLRs because the electromagnetic frequency and other things are negated when it goes over power breaks. I mean, you got better cables like Mogami and Canary, Star Quad, and etc. Bro, golly, that was another hit. But I realized, I learned quickly while doing the gig that the shotgun mic is not good for indoors. I think I learned this when I was helping a stream, like a 7-day stream, for like it was something. I can't remember really. It was like 2 years ago. So when the person went off axis, their voice would be like negated to a certain extent. So it was like really quiet when they went off axis. So then I learned you got to get a indoor boom microphone, which is like cardioid instead of super cardioid. That one was another $1,200 because it was a Sennheiser 8050 to match well with the MK416. Then after I started to do a little bit more gigs, I realized that you need to get proper editing software because I used to edit everything in Final Cut Pro, audio and video. It didn't really turn out that well. And then I went into Isotope, which was another, $600 and something. And bro, it just adds up.
Yeah, that's the one of the most annoying things about this is the equipment is expensive and people don't understand that. That's another topic for another day. And then they try to lowball you on prices and stuff like that, not understanding to get this thing done on this level that the equipment is very expensive. So even with me, my mics don't cost me that much, but I still think it's a little expensive. The first mic I started off with was the wireless Go. And the reason why I started with that mic was because I wanted versatility. I really wanted to be vlogging more. So it was like, for me, it was like the perfect mic to actually vlog. And that mic was, the set at the time was like about $300, I think, or $350 around there. I'm not sure. And then I moved over to the NTG4. No, I think it's called the NTG, just NTG, no 4, just NTG. and I really love that mic. It could be used as a USB mic, and I think I paid I can't remember, anywhere between $300 and $400 also. It could be used as a USB mic, also used as an on-camera mic and off-camera mic. So I love versatility. So I saw what I was paying for, and I realized, I could get a lot out of this little mic. And then I realized that the sensitivity wasn't what I wanted it to be. So then Rode came out with the NT5, which was a $600 mic, and I was like, okay, you know what? And then I saw people comparing it to like the Sennheiser. Is it the 416? That's the one they were comparing it to.
Yeah,
I think so. And then they were saying like the difference was like not that bad and stuff. And so I was like, you know what, $600, $900, $600. So I lean more towards the Rode mic. And then I just figured, you know what, I would try to EQ it the best that I can and try to use it the best that I can. Because we understand that even though you have all these big gears or the little ones or whatever gear you have, the important thing is to understand its limitations and how it could be used and where you could use it and if you should use it. So I think, and that's it. That was the mic I stuck on, because I'm like, you know what, I'm going to learn on this mic. And then Sony came out with this little mic called the B10. And
yeah, I heard of that.
I fell in love with it only because because I can be a little lazy at times, and it's a mic that you can just put on the camera and just let it do its thing. You don't have to adjust levels. You don't have to do nothing. And it sounds pretty good coming straight out the camera. So I got it. And so basically that's my little bit of a mic setup that I currently have. Hopefully, because remember, guys, I'm first a photographer. So the videography thing is something that I'm moving into slowly. And I'm liking it. I'm loving it. And one of the reasons why I'm moving into it slowly, I do realize that I know that's a topic for another day too, but that's something that, photography is something you could kind of take on your own. You could shoot a wedding, portraits, all that by yourself. But it's very difficult to do one person to take on a video gig. It's very hard. I'm not saying it's impossible, but all my videographers out there, if you want to keep it real, you would say that it's difficult handling a project solo. Like, a team is like the best thing. So in the process of me getting into videography, I would like to work with people and on a team, people who, like, I don't want to be doing the audio. I don't want to be doing this. I would like to have people on set, even if I'm manning a camera, or I'm doing the audio, or I'm directing, but I would like to have a set getting into this. So that's why I'm kind of like purchasing my gear wisely and trying to move into it slowly. So that's my little audio kit, and that's why I'm remaining on that budget line with it. Hopefully John and I could team up so I could use all his expensive mics. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, man. That thing that you said, I had to learn that the hard way, man. The teamwork. Like, a team is like that's the difference between a videographer and a cinematographer. A videographer can do run and gun wedding gigs. So he does everything that is more of ease of use, and it can be completed in a timely manner. Cinematographers usually move with teams because the clients are much higher and they pay a lot more, and the stakes are much higher when it comes to cinematography. So teamwork, like if you have a specialist that does sound, if you have a specialist that does editing, if you have a specialist that does the directing, the camera guys, the lighting guys, like one person cannot do all of that and do it
Definitely.
really well. Like you need a team.
Well said.
Yeah. So man, let's dive into the next question. What is your dream camera? What is your dream camera?
At one point in time, believe it or not, I'm not like I guess it I'll just say it. My dream camera at one point in time was simply just the FX6.
Oh,
Yeah, at one time, simply was just the FX6 because I felt like there was just so much you could do with it, and I just felt like I wouldn't be able to exhaust it too quickly. But I felt like if I had to go big, like something like an Ari Alexa or like a Venice or like one of these bigger cameras, then I would have so much, like my learning curve would be so crazy. So
yeah.
I was being like realistic with myself. I'm like, man, if I get this camera, I gotta learn so much. It might become more frustrating than a dream. It might become a nightmare.
Yeah.
So I just figured, since I'm very versed with the FX3, that the FX6 would kind of be like a nice walk in the park, and then I would just still have so much to learn from it. So yeah, my dream camera still is currently the FX6, and then maybe after I get the FX6, then I will dream about bigger things once I, feel like I've exhausted it and like I'm ready to move on, and like, listen, I'm ready to use a cinema camera, like a big, cinema camera that where, I'm on productions and sets that will pay me for using it. You know what I'm saying?
Correct. Yeah. My dream camera. I don't really have a dream camera. Yeah, I don't really have it. I'm at the point right now that I realize that these things are tools for specific reasons.
Correct.
Like I'm not a Red fanboy. I'm not a Canon fanboy. I'm not a Sony hater, because I can pick up a Sony and I can shoot a project that requires, like, if I'm doing like a small little wedding shoot or something like that, or if it's a music video for a certain thing that requires autofocus, I'm going with something. I'm not going to pick up the Red for autofocus.
Gotcha.
And if it's a small team, like one or two,
Yeah.
autofocus is I'm going with Sony. I might not like color grading it, but that's a whole different thing. But I'm going with Sony.
Well, we'll take that hit, man. We'll take that hit. We'll take a hit.
Yeah.
You made us feel so nice and butter us up, and you just smack us in the face. Thank you very much.
Yeah,
A little bit more patriotic, John. I'm a little more patriotic. I can truly say that I'm a Sony fanboy. I am. I would speak about Sony anytime. I love them. I love what the things that they make. I do feel sometimes they can, put stuff out a little too strange, like how they put out the Sony A7S III and then brought out the FX3, and I had to sell my A7S III to get the FX3, which was kind of a bummer. But I wish they had let us know that they were gonna do that, and then I wouldn't have purchased the A7S III and lost $800. But that's another story for another day. Yeah, because the resale, I couldn't get what I paid for it. I think I paid for the A7S III at the time, it was like about, I think it was like $3,400, and then I had to sell it back for like 26, 27, and I'm like, but I loved the FX3. So like I tell you, I was willing to take the hit and get it done, and no complaints about that, because I love my FX3. Matter of fact, I'm using the FX3 currently to do this stream, and no complaints with it.
That's dope. I would like to work with an Arri Alexa though. I ain't gonna lie to you. Like the highlight roll off on that is cool. Dude, that has the best color rendition that I've ever seen in a camera. I can see why there are so many Hollywood films that use Arri Alexa. I would like to. Am I crazy? Because I would like 3 Arris to stream within a church. I probably am a little crazy, but
No, you just love the Lord. If
like,
you want to take 3 Alexas to shoot in a church, you blessed, highly favored.
because right now we're at the point of introducing like Komodos and different reds into the streaming thing,
Okay.
and it's lovely. Like whoever I show it to, like even when I stream a wedding with the Komodo and the Komodo X and the other red, people are like, this is amazing. And to myself, I'm like, I can fix this. I can fix this light. I can fix this. This light was a little too dark. I hate that flicker. I can't do it in 24p while stream. People are like, this is like the best thing I've seen for streaming. And I'm like, all right, maybe we have something going here. So like if a church has those type of cinema cameras and they're doing streaming, they can do other things. They can do things like short films and stuff like that. If I'm doing corporate interviews, I'm taking that, because what I've learned, now you can touch on this as well. What I've learned jumping from the Canon M50 to the Red is exposure is completely different when you're recording. Because with the M50 or any mirrorless camera, you were exposed to what you see. So if the image looks good on your screen, then you have a better chance of it looking good in post. So as long as you follow your exposure, what's it called, the exposure chart, and make sure you're not clipping on each end, then you're good. Doing it with a red and exposing with raw is completely different, because the image on the monitor might look a little crazy, but as long as those traffic lights are good and nothing is clipping, the exposure is perfectly fine. So that was a learning curve, but that's only for recording. If you're streaming, you expose to both, to the traffic lights and to what you see. So it's a little different.
Yeah. Well, I so exposing on Sony cameras because we don't have RAW, we have S-Log 1, 2, and 3, and the one with the best dynamic range, of course, you might figure by now, is the S-Log 3, which is what I use. And exposing for this took me almost 1 year to learn. Because once again, you think you purchase a camera and it's just gonna produce magic, right? And that humbled me, because I saw people producing videos with this camera looking stunning, and I'm like, because if you look even in Hollywood, this camera is being used currently, and the imagery is stunning, and I'm like, dude, what are these guys doing that I am not doing? Like, what are they doing that I can do, but I just don't know how to do. And it became annoying to the point where I just want to throw the camera away, but I was so determined that I was going to learn this thing, and I'm so glad I invested the time, because now I actually can do it, and I understand it, and I understand how it's exposed and how you should edit it in post to get the best image quality. And I also learned in the process that a lot of it had to do with my lighting.
Yeah.
So that's, it's all these things kind of like humble me and made me go back to the basics, because for photography, where I came from, exposing is a little bit different, and then I had to go learn this all, like a whole new system of how to expose, and but it's well worth it, because now I feel like I can even color grade like raw images and like raw videos and stuff, just because I took the time to learn color temperature, exposure, meaning bright and darkness, contrast, ratios. I took the time to learn. I bought courses online. I even did a course at NYU. Big up to NYU. And I also even purchased some of my favorite cinematographers, tutorials and stuff, just so that I could learn this thing. And it was, time well invested versus me go in and figure, what, I need to get a better camera, or, but I figured that I need to better myself, And with this said, like, I feel like I've reached the point with my FX3 where we have not a love-hate relationship anymore, but a love-love. Love-love.
That's a love relationship.
And now I feel very confident shooting anything with this camera. Like, I could shoot. I feel confident shooting myself with it right now. So you see how close we've gotten. So with this said, yeah, it was a tough learning curve, but well worth it.
Yeah, I respect that. So we're gonna wrap this up a little. We've been on for almost an hour, so let's wrap up episode 1 with this question. What is your ultimate goal in cinematography? What are you trying to achieve?
So my ultimate goal first of all, I have little goals and I have a big goal. And I think it's necessary for me to tell you guys my little goal before I get to the big goal. So my little goal is to become more consistent with this camera, meaning to post more videos, do more work with it. My other little goal is to be able to become, I don't know if I'm saying it right, but marketable, meaning like receive sponsors. So have maybe Sony sponsor me where I don't have to buy cameras anymore. And to my ultimate goal with this camera is to be able to shoot my first short film. As crazy as it might sound, to shoot a short film that's worthy of being in the cinema. Put it this way.
Yeah, that's good.
That's my ultimate goal. Yeah,
I mean,
and it's because I really like I'm into acting, so I did a lot of drama when I was in college. Like literally in Trinidad and Tobago. When I was in college, I was a part of a group called MAGS. It meant Missionary Action Group. And literally we took part in the drama fest every year for the time I was in school. And we won every year. Not meaning to brag, but yes, we won every year. And in my last year, I remember they told us that they didn't want us to compete because people was complaining that we were always winning. So we said, okay, we'd come as a performance guest. So we didn't compete that year. But the craziness was that the people who saw our act said that, listen, if these guys were performing, they would have won. We lost anyway because the reason why they didn't want us there, it still came up. Like people were just they saying that we were the best. And now that's where my passion for acting began. And now I'm like, you know what? As much as I don't want to act no more, but I would like to teach people or help people or and anybody is interested in acting, give them pointers and stuff. But I would also like to film it. So then, technically, I guess you could say to be a director. Boom, there you go. I said it. A director.
Yeah, I mean, that is the goal. I want to direct.
Say it. Just say it. Proclaim it.
I do want to direct. I want to do a feature film, like a feature Christian film. I just
So
want to
let's
do
make it
like
happen.
I want to do.
Let's make it happen. Let's make it happen. I'm putting you on the spot, man. Let's make it happen, John. We don't want to do anything no more. We're going to do it. That's it.
Yeah,
We're
yeah.
going to do it, right? We're going to do it.
Yeah, we're gonna do it. I wanna do
Yes,
like
there you-
documentaries, and I just want like a full team of people that I can hire and not pay minimum wage or whatever. Like pay them what they're worth. Like just have a go-to team,
Yes.
and
Yes.
we're just traveling, doing documentaries,
All right.
interviews, and etc. Like that's good. And learning and teaching at the same time. Learning and teaching, because I'm
Good.
always learning.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the ultimate goal.
Yeah. Listen, man, I share the same goal as you, and which is good, keep see people around you that think like you, motivate you, move you forward, so hopefully we could produce that Christian short film.
Oh yeah. Something like The Chosen. Go hard.
Yeah. Big up the chosen.
Yeah, something like Chosen. I mean, the doctrine that they teaching in there is a little, but the cinematography is A1. Woo.
Then I have to be honest. I watch it for the cinematography. Listen, people, guys, listen. When I watch a movie, I don't just watch the movie. Okay, I watch lighting, I watch composition, I watch storytelling, I watch acting, I watch everything. So if you guys need a critic on a movie, let us know.
True.
We'll pull it up. We might critic a movie for y'all.
Yeah.
But most movies that make it to Hollywood are on a standard, so most likely will be good. But not everybody have a way of doing things, so it might not be our way of doing it, and maybe we would have had a better way to do it. So we never know. That could be something we could do. Call out some cinematographers on what they're doing,
Yeah,
because
man.
sometimes it could have very well been a mistake. I've watched movies, I don't know if you've noticed it, where you literally see, like in one scene there was a spoon on the table, and then the same scene and the camera flipped back and the spoon is no longer on the table.
Yeah, continuity is a key.
Thousands of dollars, hundreds of thousands of dollars. Listen, man,
Yeah,
I don't want to see these things.
that's a fact, man. Yeah, man. So that's gonna wrap up episode 1 of
Yeah,
the Cinematographer's Corner with Kevin
Yeah.
John. So
that's right.
we're definitely gonna try to do this on a consistent basis, 100%.
Yep.
We
I'm
got
with it.
different topics, and we have, because listen, we haven't touched the surface when it comes to these cameras. We haven't touched the surface when it comes to audio. We haven't even touched lighting. Like if you have a good lighting and good lighting team, I guarantee you can use a T3i and it looks amazing.
Amazing.
Yeah. So
Same goes for sound. Same goes for you name it, man. You just need to know what you're doing at the end of the day. But don't get us wrong. It's nice to have nice things.
oh yeah, it's very nice. Like you tell, like I'll choose a red over a T3i any day because of the raw and what it can do, and the image is just gonna look. But don't go in debt trying to buy these things at all.
Mm-hmm.
Do not do it. Use what you have and learn the principles of cinematography. So when you get your hands on these things, you're able to just transition smoothly.
Yep. And I always say, you'll know when you need it. You will know. You will know when you need it. You will know. So if you don't feel like you need it, you don't need it. If you get it just because it's out there or it's a new product or people talking about it, you don't need it. You will know when you need it. For example, I knew when I needed a better mic, and I knew why, because I wanted to record louder sounds. And the mics that I use, the sensitivity was bad. They were like really sensitive to sound. So no matter how far I pull the mic away, sometimes I would still get like the distortion. But with this Rode NT5, like I could record closer and not get distortion. So that's what I'm saying. You will know when you need to invest, and you will know why. If you don't know your why and you don't feel the need for it, then you don't need it. Remember that.
That's a big fact. That's a big fact. Oh, we got a comment as well. It was Tube Loops. He said, "Hey, cuzzo." I don't know him, so he has to be your cousin.
Maybe I don't know. I gotta look back and respond. But yeah, guys, we will respond to every comment. I mean, currently I can't really do it live because you see my setup, my computer's behind me. But I'm gonna work something out where I could see the comments as they come and the questions, so we could probably respond to it.
That's a fact.
So we'll have a night for Q&As and stuff like that. Hopefully you guys tune in and have the questions, and we'll try to answer it to the best of our possibility. You get the best of both worlds. You have someone using true cinema cameras like Reds, and you have someone like me using mirrorless cameras, and we both getting the job done with what we have. So I guess we would be able to provide relevant information on both of these systems to you guys. And listen, man, what better place to can just come and ask a question,
That's right.
Come to the cinema the cinematographer's corner.
That's a fact. Yep. So this is episode 1. So I'm gonna see you guys in the next one.
All right, John, it was a good one. All right, man.
Yeah, for sure. All right.